Hello, everyone. Hello. Thank you all for coming to my. It's marketed as a workshop, but it's the talk-ish, and we'll hopefully have some back and forth and some communication. That'll be nice. So yeah, I'm mostly here talking about like the experience of going from a student to a programmer. So there will be some overlap with yesterday's talk, but hopefully it's not. I won't show you code. It's hopefully a bit less like programming specific, but I want to share some of the nice tips that I've learned along the way. So first, some things about me. I am from Tønsberg. It's a small city south of Oslo. It's a town you think of so seldomly that no one noticed that this isn't Tønsberg. This is Tønsberg. I started programming in 2017, where I went to a folkehøyskole in Bergen, where I spent 1 year as a student and then 1 year as sort of like a scholar and a second-year student, basically, where I learned about game development and we worked in Unity and yada, yada, yada. And then I went here straight after the second year, where I did a bachelor's degree from 2019 to 2022. And since 2022, I started as an intern at Rock Pocket and have since stayed there, liking the way we work there very well. So just to show you some of the things that the thing that we most recently released, I have a link for Somber Echoes, the launch trailer. So hopefully that'll play nicely. I was advised to not use links. And the sound worked when I did the sound check earlier, of course. I can.
You can see the subtitles, it's okay.
Hopefully this works. Somber Echoes launch trailer, and there it is. And still without sound. Awesome. Yeah. So just imagine the epic music that's playing throughout our trailer. But it's a Metroidvania. Everything like happens on a 2D plane, but everything is mostly 3D models. Yeah, on this production, I joined sort of halfway through, working on the character controller, on the camera, on the mechanics, and sort of like how enemies behave. That was a really highlight of working within a slightly smaller team. We're still 4 or 5 people working with the programming. So everyone gets to touch a little bit of everything, which leads to a varied and very nice way of working, at least to me. Yeah, so, and we launched on PC, Steam, Good Old Games, Epic Game Store, as well as PlayStation and Xbox. So yeah. Yeah, cool. So yeah, the talk is mainly in about 2 parts. First, I want to talk a bit about how I did my bachelor's in cooperation with Rock Pocket, and then some of the experiences that I've had along the way. So I have a slight idea. Who here is a programmer? Could you raise your hands? Okay, so that is basically everyone. Okay. Yeah, and I plan to end with questions, but if everything is like, something is unclear in the moment, please shout them at me, I'll repeat them and hopefully go into depth a bit more. Yeah, I also want to stress that like this is mainly a talk that I would have liked to receive before I left university. So hopefully it's a talk aimed at me 3 years ago, so hopefully it'll be useful for you as well. So yeah, the Bachelor project. I worked with a group, do it chronologically. I had no idea what my bachelor's thesis was about to be. I didn't really have like a set group, and the time was running out, and like, how do we solve the bachelor's degree thing? So yeah, I knew of Rock Pocket from before. They were obviously in my hometown, so I knew a thing or two about them, and decided to reach out. I sent them an email with a little bit about myself. I then sent them a second email and got no replies. And then on the third email, I had recently gotten finished a summer's job, 3 weeks at Power in Tønsberg, and I got a glowing recommendation. So I just sent that as well. And then I finally got the answer and picked up the contact from there. So yeah, the proposal was obviously, can I aid with something while I do my bachelor's project? Is there something that we can solve? Is there something that we can do while we were being cheap or free students, taking sort of like the minimum amount of time from their work? So yeah, I think we pitched a couple of ideas. At this point, I had gotten a slight group together, and I think I pitched like, what if we as students did a card game, sort of like Gwent in Witcher, that could be set in the Somber Echoes universe. That was a pass. But I was really interested in motion matching, the animation technology. And the boss saw the potential of using motion matching to have more animated characters in the game without having to set up complicated and advanced animation trees. So that was basically the idea that we landed on working. So yeah, finding a workflow for integrated animated characters more easily into productions using motion matching. And that became sort of our bachelor thesis. So yeah, that is sort of my way. I knew that I needed to take contact with the studio and find a way to work with them. And it obviously worked for me, but hopefully something similar can work for you guys if you want to find a job. It helped me get a foot in the door so that I could start the internship there and build up from there. So yeah, any questions on the bachelor project?
What's motion matching?
Oh, so think of it as a way of categorizing animations. Who asked me the question? Was it?
What's motion matching?
Yeah. So instead of planning all the animations, idle, walk, run, you say that a character is moving at a trajectory. So you feed the trajectory to the character, and then the motion matching system finds the animation that best describes the speed, the momentum, the direction that you are going.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's sort of, you categorize animations in buckets. Give me all the walk cycle bucket, the walk cycle. Give me the run. Give me the jumping, falling. So it's a broader categorization instead of having to do all the states individually. Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah.
What engine were you working with?
Yeah, so the images on screen, Unreal Engine 4, and we did the Bachelor project before Unreal had their own official motion matching implementation. So we basically developed a plugin that you could plop into any Unreal Engine 4 that you wanted. And this was before, yeah, as I said, Unreal had their own. And now I much prefer using Unreal's own, but we gained experience with the technology and how to use it. And that applied to basically a much better tool set that Unreal made for all of us to use. So yeah, I believe it's what most AAA productions use now to do animations. Fortnite, Control, all of those games use motion matching to some degree, either to blend between state machines or, yeah, it's a really flexible system. That's really nice. Yeah.
Ponder upon the question of being cheap/free students. I know that it's prohibited in this university and our course to take paid bachelor internships.
Yeah.
How did you settle on that one?
Yeah. So just to repeat the question, it's illegal to like do paid work as a university.
As a bachelor project.
As a bachelor project.
For the bachelor project.
Yeah. So to be clear, we did our bachelor project, and then I got hired as an intern. So it was basically we could work on this as our bachelor project, knowing that it had some industry relevance, and yeah. So like no money exchanged hands during the student thing.
You mean cheap as it didn't take up much time on
I
completing?
understand, but
Yeah.
still, when did you sign the actual official contract with the company then?
After I had finished uni.
Like immediately after you're done, like the moment you got the Vignemon, or was there
It's
just like a period of time of figuring this out?
something like that. Like while I was working on the bachelor project, I saw that they gotten a huge grant from NFI and had some job postings. So I applied to a senior role there, basically. But since they already knew me, they created an internship instead, basically. Yeah. Is that a question? No. Yeah. If you have any more questions, I'll happy to answer them at the end as well. So yeah, some experiences of working. Say yes to as much as possible within limits. Always try to be expanding what you can work on, but also remember to like play to your strengths, so that I work as a generalist mostly. So in a small studio, we tend to swap around tasks and always work on like small chunks of things, handing it back and forth. So being flexible and learning new things is essential to being a good game developer as possible. Your job is not to know everything, but sort of to be able to solve. So some examples of that are, yes, I get a task. Yes, I know how to do that. That'll take 4 hours. That'll take 8 hours. Or, yes, I will fix that. I have no clue. Let me research it a bit, and then hopefully I can get back to you with an estimate, or like I can get this done by that time, for instance. Yeah, and this is also the part where this is a reminder to self. Don't be annoyed if something takes 8 hours to solve. If the fix can be implemented in 5 minutes the next time, that is part of building the experience. Stacking 5 minutes solutions on top of each other, and suddenly you can work on a lot of things very quickly. But yeah, it can be really annoying while you're trying to solve problems and you constantly get stuck on things that you feel should be easy, but they're only easy because you have gained the experience. Yeah, the earlier you know you won't be able to complete a deadline, let the people around you know. Plans will change. It's part of game development, and the earlier you can, the earlier the changes, the less they hurt, or at least they hurt a lot less than missed deadlines. While I was preparing the talk, I listened to a podcast, Play, Watch, Listen, where Mike Bithell spoke directly to me. Predictability matters more than speed. He's a British game developer and studio owner, so I think he knows what he's talking about. He would rather have a programmer that can work regularly and predictably. It's easier to make plans, and it's easier to run a studio with people that are predictable. Who would have thunk? So yeah, I want to go through, I think I have a couple of situations that are hypothetical, but situations that you may find yourself in, especially if you're doing client work. You present an early build to a client. It's 1 to 2 weeks of work. It's mostly an empty level with a player controller where the client is to test the mechanic. And then you get the question from the client. Can you optimize this? We had, yeah, how would we go about a situation like that? Presumably, there are no performance issues. It's mostly empty. What do you do in a situation like that? You want to be accommodating for the client, but you also don't know specifically what he's talking about.
I guess you're asking questions to figure out what do you mean.
Yeah, basically giving the correct answer on the first row here. Yeah, you ask to find the root cause. It could be a real technical issue, or it could be a perceived issue. So yeah, in this case, we found it really funny that we sent a build that didn't have vsync or a frame cap. So he noticed that his fans on his laptop were spinning up and was concerned that the program would be horribly unoptimized and that nobody would be able to run this game. But we slapped a frame cap and vsync on it, and it aided in the situation. So it wasn't really an optimization problem, but a perceived problem. And he was thinking ahead to launch basically when everyone would be saying that, oh, this game is impossible to run. Yeah, but he was a bit preemptive maybe. So when noticing a problem and reporting it, I find it really helpful to also have a couple of suggested solutions. Assume that you have known about this issue for the longest, and that since no one else has reported it, you obviously are the only one that know of this problem. Investigate it a bit, take responsibility for it, and the suggested solutions can also aid in helping others understand the problem. If you only present issues on issues on issues, you aren't looking for the solutions, you're only providing the problems. So I found that a really nice way to also take responsibility for a mechanic, for a system, for something to help the studio become more productive. And I also want to challenge every assumption. What needs optimization? It could have been an animation irregularity that he mistook for a performance drop. So always make sure to dig deeply and find the root cause. Later on in development, you will thank yourself for having treated the problem and not just solving the symptoms. That way it's a bit more rock steady throughout production, and you won't suddenly find yourself in a situation where you have a horrible problem that you need to spend a lot of time fixing. A similar situation to this is, say you're making a racing game and it's almost through to completion. This is another good video game development story. You're almost through completion, and it's a mobile game, it's optimized, it's running great. And the client asks you, could you add Chrome to the cars? And you know that the render budget is limited, you can't do anything with it. The cars shaders were accepted a long time ago. But in this case also, go to find out what is the actual problem. And the clients thought that, oh, the cars looked a bit slow. So he thought that they would look faster with Chrome on them. So in this case, if you could up the speed of the vehicles 5-10%, add some speed lines, do something simple with the post-process to actually increase the perceived feel of speed, instead of adding Chrome that would, I don't think it would make the cars look particularly that much faster. Yeah, on to some more experiences. Respect and trust the iteration process, which sometimes can feel a bit messy and a bit circular, especially with multiple people involved. And part of iteration is learning how to solve something. The discoveries you make during the process can be sort of the end product. rather than the, can be the value created, not necessarily the end product. Think of it as learning how to make games instead of learning how to make that one game that one time. Iteration cycle has become a big thing to think about in that way. So examples of this are, we have gone back and forth on this animation that we're basically at the starting point, and yeah, that's fair. And now we know why. Or yes, but we made this one crucial change that changes the thematic, that changes the feel of the animation in this instance. Don't aim for the perfect solution for everything. Avoid the worst, most tedious, and least flexible solutions. For programmers, that's easy. That's not copy-pasting code everywhere. That should be centralized and handled in a better way. But don't also try to make an overcomplicated solution that tries to solve all of the problems, when you should maybe make 5 solutions for 5 different problems in some cases. A part of this is to don't over-constrict. If a design says there will be a total of 8 cars, don't hard code 8. There may be 6 or 8 or 10 cars, depending on what we figure out during development. And the ever famous, if you can't make it perfect, make it adjustable. And design always wants to, if you expose 10 variables, design always wants the 11th and the 12th. So you get used to iterating on stuff that you thought you had nailed, but it needs a bit more tweaking. But yeah, sometimes a good idea is something that does not solve just one single problem, but rather can solve multiple problems at once. And I think he knew a thing or two about game development too. For example, in Mario, where jumping, it's a movement mechanic, you need to progress through the level. It is also the combat, you land on the heads of enemies. And with the punching of the blocks, it is also how you interact with the world. So you could have 3 different systems for this, or you could polish up the jump, have it be very variable, have it be very nice, and then it works better for all of the things that it tries to solve for. Moving on to some of the quicker tips, I think. Write down what you agree on during discussions and meetings. Keep a to-do list. I find that to be the easiest way to have everyone on the same page. Everyone has the same expectations and reference for the work that is about to be done. Get the boring technicalities correct. Show up on time. If you have an interview, maybe check Street View to make sure that you found the right entrance. Be there early, not too late. Anyone have other examples of boring technicalities that should be correct?
Agree on which GitHub branch you're working on.
Coordinate the GitHub branch, yeah.
Show up to meetings on time.
Show up to meetings on time.
Write in the design document whether or not gaining stats on level up means that the player gets to choose stats, or if they're randomly decided, etc.
Yeah, game development, write the GDD, have something written, yeah.
Make sure that everyone has read the GDD and understands exactly what you're doing.
Yeah. Keep everyone on the same page with the GDD, yeah.
Even worse still, make sure that when you're communicating to a person during a meeting directly, face to face, they actually understand what you have just said to them.
Yeah.
Don't have meetings after everyone had 12-hour shift jobs.
Yeah, basically coordinate, and having said something is not the same as they understanding the same thing.
Make sure everybody realizes that the movement in the game is 2D or 3D, not both.
Keep 2D, 3D correctly, keep your tongue in your mouth. Yeah, you had one as well?
Make sure the people that need to know what you're working on.
Yeah. yeah, communicate efficiently.
I was about to say the same thing. It's very important to communicate.
Yeah.
Maybe not locking yourself up for weeks and not telling anyone what you're working on, and then just showing up with something.
Definitely. Yeah. And the last one.
Spot
Oh.
on the problems with the game design is actually two team members hating each other.
Keep personal relationships and gameplay relationships separate. Yeah. Go for it, Nick.
There is no such thing as stupid questions.
Yeah.
Ask to anyone anything. Try to understand the other person's side, even if it's
Yeah.
a tech person, an artist, a designer. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Communicate.
Yeah. No stupid questions. That's a really good one. Yeah. I also have another one. That's sort of a technicality. If you receive a message or a Slack message or an email, answer all of the questions posed, not just the last one or the first one. If you have the privilege of asking a question, number them. The formatting helps the receiver make sure that they answer all the questions. This is a bad example. You shouldn't number without there being a point. But now I get to ask you, do you have a problem with point number 2, 3, or 4? Point number 4. And I also have one that if multiple team members are tackling an issue, don't be another, I've called it chef in a kitchen. Trust them to handle their work if they have taken responsibility for something. Hopefully you can work on something else that is just as crucial, but won't interfere with their work. And I've also added, communicate this to them. So if the studio is on fire and everything needs to be putting out that fire, don't go looking at the character jump. It's not what's of the utmost importance. But yeah. It can feel very tempting to jump on, and some problems are so important that everyone should be working every angle, but most of the time it's okay to trust the people taking responsibility to handle it. So yeah, I think I've put aside way too much time for questions, but I would be happy to answer. Thank you. Yeah.
What about AI? How do you use AI in your process?
Starting with the easy questions, are we? We tend to use AI a bit for programming. Like we haven't integrated, I won't speak too much of our, we haven't integrated it like directly into our project, but if it's faster to prompt something and use the code, tweak it slightly, we tend to use it. But it's slightly a bit more like individual. How does it fit into your process as a programmer? I don't think any of our artists uses them for like generative visuals. As far.
Following the AI topic, assuming your boss is an AI bro that takes pride in wipe coding and doesn't really shy away from using AI-generated sound assets or anything he can get away with, how do you push back on that behavior?
I think that it's very like individual. I think it's a discussion that is probably worth having in your team.
How do you do that without getting fired?
I don't think you can demand anything, but I think you should raise the valid concerns and point to examples of if this releases to the public in this state, there will be consequences, maybe some controversy, and I would make the business case that using AI for generative stuff right now doesn't have a good outlook. It doesn't have a good, like, it's perceived very badly, and I think that's a good enough point to make.
Thanks.
Yeah. Mm.
Did you guys develop Somber Echoes in Unreal or?
Somber Echoes is Unreal, yeah. I joined sort of halfway through production, and we went from Unreal 4 to Unreal 5 and so on and so on. Yeah.
Could you talk a bit about when you joined the company, what your responsibilities were and how they do?
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, so I joined sort of as an intern in title, but I was very quickly like given tasks, and I find that really naturally both the team and I figured out what sorts of tasks, what did I enjoy working on, what was I good at working on. So like while it wasn't a very formal process, I think I figured out that steering away from the heavier technical topics like C++ and engine management and all of the biggest like technical challenges are maybe not what I excel at, but the camera, character controller, and combat design, camera, the mechanics that the players are to play with. I don't know if it was planned or unplanned, but I got more and more of those tasks, which I think led me into more of like the game programmer side of things. Yeah. Mm. Mm.
Yeah, I want to ask you, like, as a student, like, I'm in first year right now,
Mm.
and like, for me, it looks like you're studying like the creating video games, like something about everything, like some pieces of every kind of creating process. But as you say, we need to propose to the studios, like, to solve any kind of problems.
Mm.
And this is my questions, like, what we need to study without the uni, what kind of problems we need to be able to solve, like.
Right. So the question is basically, beside the teachings that you get from the university, are there any other
Extra skills, like.
you should probably have? Yeah. Let me think a bit. I wouldn't say that I know like the whole industry trend or like.
I mean, your opinion.
Yeah, in my opinion. Yeah, obviously. For example, at Rock Pocket, we tend to have most expertise in-house, but for some reason we don't have anyone doing VFX or like setting up Niagara or being sort of like a technical shader Niagara artist. So if you're a programmer, but you can also create something beautiful, a fire explosion, a laser, like creating something that makes the game feel maybe a bit more alive or dynamic or stuff like that. In Rock Pocket's case, that may be a good. If you if you were to apply for Rock Pocket tomorrow, I think that is a skill that we would appreciate. But yeah, we make do with outsourcing some of it, and programmers can open Niagara assets and change a bit about it to tweak it, shift the color, but aren't artists in a way with that. So I think that is at least maybe one of them, but it's also a thing in like, for example, in your case, you have these skills, present them in a way that they can be useful for the company. So, okay, you are a programmer, but it could be valuable if you also did some sound effects or created some music. I think it's more on like how you present that to the company. I can be of value in these and these and these ways.
How much does your team like sketch out the relationship diagrams of what you're working with, and how often do you like revise them or change the design of them?
So the question is in how assets are related to
relationship diagrams of code.
relationship diagrams of code. Very little. We are lucky in that we are quite a small team. So with 3 or 4 programmers, we can sort of, to a degree, stay on top of each other's work. And if you create the player controller or work for the player controller, you sort of have a bit of ownership over it. So if I need to tweak something or change something, I can just ask the person who did most of the work on it, which is a luxury.
How many documents do you write now compared to when you were at uni?
I think I'm afraid to say that I write less documents now. We stay organized using like a task system. I think we use Hack and Plan. So it's more writing like tiny tasks. We've had a discussion. What did we agree on? What should I make next? And then sort of, at least in our hierarchy, the designers have more of the schedule for like the longer term plans and how, for example, the test bonanza, what do we need to have done before we have a build that we feel like we can maximize what we learn about people playing our games, for instance. Nick? Oh, okay, go. Sorry. Go for it.
I was curious, you mentioned that your company is currently looking for technical artists. How can one generally find out what would be a certain company's need, other than just like directly going and asking them? Is this like a publicly available information? Or anyhow?
Yeah, so the question is, how would you know what a team is missing?
Yes.
Yeah.
What role can you fill in?
Yeah, and I want to start with clarifying that I don't think that Rockpocket is currently hiring. Just so, yeah, yeah. But you wouldn't have known like from the outside looking in. But the moment there is a job posting, a bunch of these requirements or nice to haves should be listed. I know that we tend to do it with, we want someone that can be able to handle blah, 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 blah. And yeah, as I mentioned, they had recently posted a senior programming application, or like they were hiring for a senior programmer. I had just finished uni and I still applied, and okay, the title that they hired for didn't exist, but they made it work somehow. Is it a follow-up?
I want to throw an additional question on top of that.
Yeah.
Since you were hired for a position that didn't exist previously, like not from a job posting, but a one that was created for you, how did you negotiate for salary?
How did I negotiate for salary? I asked for more than what was initially offered. I knew that when I was hired as an intern, that there would very quickly, that was a 6-month contract. I knew that very quickly there would be options to negotiate and keep renegotiating that yearly, or ideally even more often.
How many people are in the team?
We are 7 people in office in Tønsberg, and then we have 1 remote programmer, and I believe he's operating from Gjøvik.
Yeah. So follow-up question then. Does the team then have dedicated people for specifically game design, or is everybody contributing to game design?
Yeah.
Or planning it?
Yeah. So the question is about like team composition.
Yes.
Yeah. I can go through it. We are 3 programmers, and then 4th if you count the boss. We have a producer, we have an artist, and we have a game designer.
Okay.
Yeah. Unless I'm forgetting someone, but yeah. And then we outsource some of the things. That is the team composition, at least now.
Is then only the game designer responsible for game design, or is everybody like coming with ideas or changing the design? design?
Yeah. So in broad strokes, it's the game designer, but the game designer often writes, I wouldn't say like high level thoughts, but they're a bit higher of a level. And then when I receive a task or you are to work on this thing, I feel like I make a lot of the tiny decisions on how things are made. So it's not micro planning everything, but some broad ideas make it, and then maybe we iterate a couple of times, and then we have something that we're happy with.
Okay, thank you.
Nick?
Something small to input in the question that you had. Like you can find an interest in a specific thing that usually is not utilized from the generic knowledge of a programmer. Not every company has a tech artist, not every company has a rendering programmer, so you can choose a subject, focus on rendering, like get down that path, be knowledgeable, and then that will open doors to you. I don't know, like games do weather systems, figure out how to do a good weather system, and then that would also open doors for you, and so on. Be a bit more specific.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, go for it.
How did you practice before you got into the position of working in a company? Did you have personal projects? Did you participate in game jams? Was there anything other extracurriculum that you dealt with?
Yeah, so I would say that my experience from the Folkehøyskole was very relevant. There was a lot of game jamming there, so smaller projects, and even in Unity, even though we don't work in Unity, it's part of Rock Pocket relies on having external companies, like taking on work from external companies and having some experience in Unity. I'm guessing will be really relevant someday. But yeah, game jams, I participated in Global Game Jam here. And then I didn't have particularly many personal projects. I find it more fun to sort of work in a team and have the teamwork with the back and forth. I find that more motivating than sitting working on something alone. And I haven't really explored the options of game jamming or making something with friends in my pastime, at least not yet.
How does the producer assist team members in doing their job?
So the producer's role, and this also varies dramatically from studio to studio, but he helps with planning the tasks and the milestones, and also coordinates between, to some degree, between the members of the different disciplines. But yeah, handling communications with external clients, also taking on a bit of a developer role, of a game design role. So if some questions we tend to ask to him, and he's in our studio, he's really good at doing QA as well. So sort of like we're a studio of, to some degree, a studio of potatoes. Everyone does a little bit of everything to make it work, to make the best possible things.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said you went to Folkehøyskole?
Yeah.
For 2 years?
Yeah.
Did you go to Sunnhordland?
I went to Fana Folkehøyskole.
Right.
Yeah. Go Fana.
Very nice.
Yeah. Did you go to
Oh, you went to Sunnhordland, yeah.
Sunnhordland? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah, and yeah, I sort of skimmed past it, but I hadn't done much programming before started Folkehøyskole, but getting some experience with it and learning, like I always had a love for problem solving, but finding a specific interest and niche in game design was really liberating in a way. And with the game, it's never really done. So like, there is always more problems to solve, always something more to iterate on. And the limit is time and your skill level. Yeah.
And would you say with all these like small projects you work on, would you say it's beneficial to have some of them that you polish and like have a more finished product?
Yeah. So the level of polish you should have on your projects. Yeah. Obviously, you should work to finish, like polish up more of them, but it has probably changed since I was a student here. But I found that we did a bit too many projects of a bit too large scale. So working on a game a week, I find it better to say if you have a month, I would rather make 4 games than one large one. I feel like, especially early on, there is more learnings in starting production, finish it up, have the experience of, oh shit, we don't have a menu system. How could we make something really quick so that we reach the deadline?
Yeah, we still do that. We still have way too large projects.
So, okay. And then maybe it's onto you to participate in Global Game Jam, in making stuff with your friends in your pastime. Especially as a student where everyone you know here is deeply passionate about making games and taking advantage of that.
What's been your favorite part about working professionally compared to being in school?
So the difference between working professionally, what I enjoy more, I sort of like, I don't think I was a particularly good student, but I enjoy the fact that when I work on something for the studio now, I know that it is important, it adds to the whole thing that we're making and hopefully selling someday. Whereas when working on a school project, I knew that I would hand it in, it would be read, it would be played, it would be tested, and then it would sort of lose its relevancy. And the learning is what you're stuck with, but I kind of like how the project is something out in the world that we can point to and say that we made something cool. So the feeling of accomplishment, maybe? Yeah.
In terms of navigating Unreal Engine or whichever other engine you're working with, do you read the documentation or do you just look for video tutorials online or forums to just find out how to implement certain mechanics?
I tend to try to find it in the documentation first.
How do you read Unreal Engine documentation?
Go to the API reference instead of reading the guides.
Yeah, so the question is like how to effectively learn about Unreal Engine. And it's Googling the mechanics, finding the documentation, their C++ and their sort of like technical details are often quite correct. We recently updated to the newest version of Unreal Engine, and there's a sort of hidden plugin where they have their own like AI assistant. So hopefully it's trained on Unreal's own documentation and should be more correct. So I've tried asking it a couple of questions about, we had an issue that when you enable VSync, the game's latency suddenly skyrockets. And Unreal has mitigating factors. Ask the chatbot if they have any idea on how to solve it. And they did, hopefully. We'll see later today.
Where do you go to research more possible data structures if you figure out that what you currently know is not what you need for implementing a feature?
So the question is about researching data structures.
Yes.
Yeah. And I feel like that's maybe where I'm in a slightly privileged position. If something is really hard, I find it nice that I can lean on my colleagues. I can ask them questions. They have a bunch of experience. And within a studio, if one person knows something, sharing it can sort of help rise the entire studio. So I'm lucky that I don't do the heaviest C++ data management things. And I'm lucky that I get to ask very knowledgeable colleagues whenever there is something I need help with, if there's something I can't get done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just kidding. I have some DLC tips. These are even shorter. These are basically the things I couldn't get to earlier, or the things that I thought that maybe I should take out. And part of it is you will be lost. It is okay to lean on colleagues. It is okay to spend a little time trying to figure something out. Yeah, so we've sort of gotten through this naturally. Use available resources, but if the most effective thing is asking how something was intended to work, if a colleague has written a system and I need to use it or tweak it, I should probably ask them. Maybe they've written some documentation somewhere, and they will more than likely be happy to help, rather than see something being misused and cause bugs and issues later on. Yeah, and a sort of bonus tip on if you are in a position to tweak, plan, and scope. Yeah, QA, sleep at the wheel here. But this is more like maybe for the first and the second year students. Scope your game to what you are best at. And I think that that is a natural tip. I saw in the showcase that people tended to do animations and do games based on the stuff that they like and that they probably are good at. So it's basically, if you're better at writing than at programming, go text heavy, go visual novel. It's better to play to your strengths in writing and have some minimal code that does its job than trying to be really ambitious with the programming and the writing, and you'll spend a whole lot of time programming and not getting the writing up to the level that you want it to have. And yeah, basically allow for this when scoping your game. Yeah. And I think that maybe with that, I will be around here for the game testing as well as on the after party at Gregers. So if everyone has any questions or more personal questions, feel free to come up and ask me. Yeah. Thanks for having me.